Okay, my name is Heiner Kruse, and here I am with Girts Ozolins from Erika Synths, who is the founder from Latvia. You are in Riga now, correct?
Yes.
And Erika Synths is a very established brand for modules and does lots of different modules, Eurorack modules, but also synthesizer devices and effect devices and all kinds of stuff. So it's interesting to meet Gertz, who is really like a star within the scene and always coming up with new ideas. So
Mhm.
how did it start? How did you come up with making modules?
Now we had to rewind a little bit time back to my early teenage years. It was mid 80s when
Oh,
I borrowed a book in our village school science class, and that was a book about DIY electronics. Uh, the book was from 1964, 67, something like that, when in United States first synthesizers emerged. And yeah, so I was building a whole bunch of weird DIY stuff, mostly AM receivers and stuff like that, like 10-meter long antennas on the rooftop. But somehow I navigated to electronic music instruments, and a couple of years ago, I actually found a sketchbook with a block scheme of synthesizer I somehow envisioned back then.
oh wow.
But yeah, but then Latvia gained independence as the market all of a sudden opened because, like, living in Soviet Union in the most stupid system imaginable. If somebody says that he or she can make communism right, no, it never happens.
So
Millions of your people die and starve to death, and it never plays out well. So
so you had the idea before the separation of Latvia,
yes, yes, yes,
and
because
you
I did not have much money. Of course, our shops did not offer any synthesizers except some in planned economy. You have very specific tasks for music instrument factories to make specific instruments at specific amounts. So yeah, you could not go in shop and buy a synthesizer. So long story short, so
okay.
yeah, I was trying to make my own. I don't. I did not really succeed to make like proper ones, but
The
yes, we gained independence, market opened, and I somehow set this hobby apart.
it was the
And
Polyvox, right? You did this Polyvox
yeah, but that
filter.
was that was recently already. Yeah, that was
Ah, okay.
some 12 years ago or something. Yes, and then I went to university to become physics science teacher. So I taught all bunch of science subjects like mathematics, physics, chemistry. Then I also took courses in jewelry and metal arts. So I was
Oh,
teaching that as well. I
wow.
was making quite a lot of jewelry actually to sustain my
Okay.
living because teachers were terribly underpaid back then and so on.
Okay, and therefore you're not only into the technical details of the modules you build, but also into the design and the
Yes, yes, yes,
tactile things
yes, yes.
probably.
And then yeah, I had to leave teaching because yeah, I was I had family, and back then with teacher's salary you could not start a household in Riga, in capital city of Latvia, without like extra support. So I
Oh,
went to advertising, and I spent 20 years in advertising. For last 10, I was running one of largest advertising agencies in Latvia, which also kind of I kind of accumulated a skill how to run a company, how to do design, which is specific on specific brief. You intend, you have an idea, but you need to somehow
Realize it and
put this idea into uh, process that ends up with
delegate.
something tangible at the end.
Yes.
And that works in any industry basically. Of course, in synthesizers, it also requires not only design or creativity, it also requires like procedures and structured work. But yes, the advertising gave me a lot of skill to both run a company and also to have these creative ideas for or to find niches, in the market as well. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
And then on 2010, I came back to my childhood hobby and I started building modular synthesizers. And that was already a different world. There were quite few DIY websites online. So I basically back then I built almost all DIY projects in electronic music that were out there. I always say that I was in touch with Ray Wilson, who was running Music from Outer Space, and once he wrote me that Girts, I have to invent something new because you built entire my site. So
What was his name?
Raymond Wilson.
Raymond
He
Wilson. Okay.
unfortunately passed away from cancer, but he was one of most influential DIY music DIY and engineers back then.
You are still linked with DIY, right? You did you make this project with Moritz Klein, and
Yes, yes,
this is
correct.
still running, and you released synthesizers which are into teaching people how to work with synthesizers like the Bullfrog and the bigger Bullfrog. So, what's your recent DIY project, or what's the recent favorite of yours in these terms? Is
You
a bull?
see, DIY, we started as a DIY company. So
Yes.
basically, when I was building my DIY modular system, I realized that I have something to say to the community, and I started putting out my DIY projects, and eventually it grew into factory manufactured modules. So we had quite we have accumulated quite enough know-how by making DIY projects, and then we realized that yeah, there is some potential also for factory-produced modules. So we started also factory manufactured modules, which requires a bit of investment, but again, uh, once you have complete module, then there is different market open. But DIY, basically DIY line, two DIY lines of our modules or our instruments is basically to honor heritage of the Erica synths and of engineers who we inspired, and also to somehow promote this DIY scene and teaching
Mm.
thing, because Moritz Klein, he's self-made engineer, so he has no engineering background, but he is bright example on what you can achieve when you have interest in a topic and you have dedication to contribute to the topic. So yeah, and as an ex former teacher, I really think that it's super important to kind of encourage people to
Yeah.
dig deeper to understand things. And if you look at our DIY projects, they go really back to basics of electronic engineering. So
Mm.
we discontinued all DIY projects that were designed in a way that here's schematics, here's PCB, just build it, and you do not need to understand why and how it works.
Mm.
So our more explained instruments, Erica Synths DIY projects, they are called educational DIY projects because by building them, you actually learn
Okay.
how they work, how electrons run in circuits. You are encouraged to do modifications on modules and so. So basically, every single DIY module in our uh, modules line is a small laboratory work in electronics.
Mm.
And there are some universities that actually use our DIY projects for teaching in their curriculums.
Yeah, great.
And same goes with our Bullfrog educational synthesizer, which is tool for education in music technology production and so. So we are working now on we are launching Bullfrog drums, which is drum machine and sampler
Ah,
this week in
ah,
actually 2 days. And in a couple of months, we'll have also a Bullfrog mixer, which we are showing in on Superboost as well.
okay.
So then we basically will have a complete ecosystem of electronic music learning, production, and performance tools. Because on solely on Bullfrog synthesizers, you can easily play entire live sets in a club or in a festival because instruments are well designed, very hands-on, and they are well built, so they sound great. They can be taken to the stage and played straight away.
Yeah, I agree that modular stuff is really good for learning. As mentioned, I've written this book, but I've come from the other side, more like producing drum and bass in the studio, and then realizing that it's interesting to split up all the little different tasks in smaller parts, so it's easier to learn it and try to generalize this. While as the whole performing live is yet another skill to achieve. It's another uh, thing to learn. And this is, of course, interesting if you offer something where you can do both, like learning how to work with the synthesizer and as well learning how to perform and let music create music live. So it's very interesting. But Erica also has lots of interesting sound design tools like the steam pipe or the Perkins voice, and you've been releasing the hex inverter drums again, and I've written about it here on Amazona.de, and I really like them. And what can you tell us about your sound design adventures? What's coming up next at Erica, or what's your favorite product uh, regarding the things you did recently, maybe?
You see, while at a certain point we had like 150 something modules, so crazy lot.
Yeah.
And with every single module, we somehow accumulated know-how uh, on analog design or coding, making like digital modules. So at certain point, we realized that we have enough know-how to come up with desktop instruments or standalone instruments that are non-modular instruments. Um, and and because we have so many modules, we have so many experiments in different circuits, so it's actually quite easy and quick for us to come up with these desktop instruments. So
Yeah, you're
so
probably the company.
we were looking for kind of niches where there is a kind of lack of
Lack of
like
tools.
inspiring tools or something, right?
Yeah.
So one of our first attempts in desktop instrument was our baseline synthesizer, um, DBO baseline DBO1, which
Mm.
is based on our baseline module plus our Polyvox filter with our custom, basically signature sequencer, super easy to program, very hands-on. Then we added LXR drum machine. Then we went bigger with Syntrx 1, which was Synthi AKS contemporary take. And Peter Zinoviev himself, like really, he actually recorded a video and endorsing, in a way, our Syntrx 1. And so
The inventor of the original, or you mean?
yes, yes, correct. Yes,
Okay.
I can share the video later.
Yeah, you can send me a link. Great.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's no other company with a product range that is this broad, that has so many different offers, I guess. And
Oh, Yamaha is one of those. They have also motorcycles.
no, I mean from the, let's say, small Eurorack companies.
Of
So,
course,
so
of
your
course.
focus is going a little bit from the Eurorack into the desktop instruments, maybe?
Yes, correct. Yes, because as you may feel, Eurorack is not growing that fast anymore. And that was, of course, our privilege as a company because we grew as all Eurorack scene was growing rapidly. So we had privilege to
Mm,
self-finance the company. So we never took any external loans, and so we actually grew with the industry. So doing, I guess we were doing something right. So we set up manufacturing on scale. We set up all procedures and infrastructure for a comparably small team to
mm,
be able to put out large numbers of modules firstly, and then also standalone instruments. And Latvia has great infrastructure for electronics manufacturing. In
great.
fact,
You
there
you
are at least 10 different 10 companies from music tech industry that moved their manufacturing to Latvia.
and you do everything in Latvia, correct?
Yes, yes,
Mm.
yes, yes. And I highly recommend to others to do it in Latvia because yeah, those other companies they moved their manufacturing mostly by our recommendation or because our manufacturers went to super booth promoting themselves.
Okay.
Um,
And you also did festivals a while ago, like 2019, the Contactor Festival, and did a label also called Contactor, where you release
yes,
stuff.
yes, yes.
2023. Is that still going on, or is it more on hold on at the moment?
Unfortunately, not because we had um, two editions of Contactor Festival, but COVID came, and we had already lined up for the third festival, but unfortunately, that was a
Yeah,
year
sad.
when COVID kicked in, and we had
Yeah, yeah.
to postpone
Okay.
it. And then we realized that after COVID, we realized that that was such a
Effort.
massive investment,
Mm.
and as if we had nothing to do. But basically, our idea was not only to produce hardware, but also to promote a culture of electronic music.
And this
So
is
we
close to
did not,
techno, right?
excuse me,
You're very close. You have a close link to techno music, right? Or is it also
Not really. We want actually to have more diverse
okay?
approach. So apart from Contactor Festival, which was more like techno industrial music,
Hmm.
we have produced also um, a concert with Pedro Eustache and Sinfonetta Riga, which is symphony orchestra. So a friend of ours wrote a piece for electronics plus symphony orchestra. Then last year, 30th of November, we had another event. We commissioned a composer to write a piece for synthesizer orchestra that we also filmed the event, so we plan to publish it on our garage website in three,
Oh,
4 weeks.
oh, wow.
And now we announced a contest for composers to come up with scored pieces for electroacoustic ensembles or orchestras, where at least half of instruments are electronic music instrument. So with intention that I want to see more synthesizers used in
Great.
academic music, like in experimental music, which has score. So I want to have this idea when you go back historically, how synthesizers emerged, that
Wendy
actually
Carlos.
exactly, or Stockhausen, who actually, or Morton Subotnik, who had ideas, but they could not realize their creative ideas on instruments that were available back then. So
Yeah,
they commissioned engineers who came up with first
great.
synthesizers.
Yeah,
And these synthesizers were used in experimental and academic music because that music was also scored, not only performed. And of course, when pop music adopted synthesizers, then kind of esteem of instruments faded away from this uh,
mm. You know,
music feinschmecker.
yeah,
So
it's
they
really,
became kind of mass market thing.
yeah,
So, yeah, my
it
vision is actually to get synthesizers back into this academic
great.
scene. Therefore, yeah, we announced a contest of composers to compose pieces specifically for synthesizers together with acoustic instruments and so on. Yeah. And also we have a residency studio. So we invite musicians to visit our office. We have a residency studio. Actually, today we film some resident performances. I'll show you the setup. So once we are
Wow,
recording that, so here
wow,
downstairs, the setup
wow,
is being prepared. So we will
wow.
film
Okay,
it. We will
I
film it,
yeah, this
and we put out those videos and interviews with musicians on our garage website, which is a section in on our uh, on our website.
great.
And that's to promote electronic music as a culture. Not
Yeah, I understand this because when I was researching for my book, or basically as an intention, I want to get rid of the cliches because in Germany, sometimes working with modular synthesizers is connected to a cliche where you have only noises and blips and blobs. And to me, it's about open-mindedness and individual options because that's um, everyone wants to make something different with it, and but there are always somehow cliches or other people trying to tell you that this is what's to be done normally, and the interesting things evolve often out of going your own path and trying new things. So synthesizer has been laughed at by some classical musicians in the beginning, like it's not a classical instrument, and
yeah
made its way and established uh, its way as an instrument with expressive skills, expressive options. But still, when you check scores for film and you have modern series, I'm still thinking there are so many, uh, so little film scores only done with synthesizers. But just recently, I saw Beef on Netflix. Number 2, and they had an excellent synthesizer score. So there's still
Oh, of
hope.
course, don't forget Stranger Things,
So, yeah,
iconic baseline
of
stuff,
course, that's what
score,
everyone knows. Yeah,
mm, yeah. And but again, Europeans um, play safe again because most of modular events, they play techno. Uh, to actually get real inspiration how modular synthesizers can be used, I highly recommend to go to Tokyo Modular Fest because
With the
there
feedback scene, like the feedback music.
there is like all bunch of music genres
Mm.
in condensed in the same place because they have this exhibition room and in a corner they have live sets and there you have everything from harsh noise to like regular techno on bookless system to experimental music on two surge modules in miniature system, and like that is like super inspiring because they really show the range of what is possible
Yes.
on synthesizers. In
Yeah.
Europe, we somehow play safe, and we kind of try to figure out first what is commercially acceptable
I
and
think it's more like
viable.
a Western industry culture. Like
Yes, yes, yes.
whoever is responsible doesn't want to lose his job
Mm,
and avoids being too risky. But if you're on top of your own company, then you don't have to look for someone to fire you, or you don't have to be afraid of someone to fire you. You can just do your own thing and be a bit more bold. And yeah, that's great. But you also made some VSTs. You also had a few modules for VCV Rec to let the software people learn a bit about your tools, correct?
yes, we had a collaboration with one Belgian coder who made adaptations of a couple of our modules for VCV Rack, and we also made Zen Delay VST,
Yes,
but we gave
I
it away
reviewed that.
because we somehow uh, felt we did not feel connection to VSTs.
Okay.
So
So you licensed it to someone else.
yeah, we just because Zen Delay is collaboration project with Ninja Tune and Liquid Sky Berlin or Portugal.
Yes.
So the
Ingo. Yes.
yes, so Zen Delay VST was actually nice project. It was profitable project. It had great reviews from music industry and so. But really, we genuinely did not feel any connection to it. It worked perfectly. It has anti-privacy protection. We had virtually no support tickets that something doesn't work or it's hard to install and so. But we realized that we need to focus,
Mm.
and we decided that we will focus on hardware. So we are not making any software instruments.
Do you make music on
Kind
your
of
own too?
Excuse me.
Do you make music on your own?
I consider myself charlatan musician, so I I am occasionally invited to play some gigs and I come up with some creative like approach to performance. I normally play on a custom modular system which I put together specifically for that performance. And so, but yeah, lately I adopted Steve Reich's four organs for modular synthesizer. Then recently I was invited to play to some pre-concert panel discussion. There was German duo Grand Brothers performing in one of concert halls here in
What
Latvia.
was the name?
Grand Brothers.
Okay.
So this is duo piano plus synthesizers. Absolutely great, super talented guys, And yeah, I was invited to pre-concert talk with concert organizers. So they had in this huge concert hall, they had a nice stage to talk with Grand Brothers, also with like main performers, and then they had some people from industry. So for that I prepared Ligeti's Continuum, also on modular synthesizer. So just to experiment in different areas of music. And then I play some noise, some industrial stuff, but I do not consider myself a musician.
But you are
There
more
are,
you are interested in this kind of classical music and all kind of music when you listen to
I mean,
music.
I have zero background in music. My daughter, she
But what do you
graduated.
like to listen to?
Yes, in a way. And but yeah, my daughter, she
Sorry.
graduated Academy of Music here, and she is classically trained
Okay.
clarinet player. She also teaches clarinet in a music school, and so, and we occasionally play as a duo,
Oh wow.
wind instruments plus modular, and so yeah, I really admire musicians who have like proper music education, who navigated to electronic music instruments, and also self-made musicians who are like some of my colleagues. They are geniuses. I really admire how everything they touch turns into music.
So basically, one can say that the philosophy of Erica Synth is also a little bit to build bridges between the classical musicians, acoustic and electronic musicians.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we actually try hard to
Great.
do. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that came out in the interview. Thank you very much.